What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Kramer, and in this video, I'm going to be answering the question, what do you do with your real estate profits? So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. So I got this question on Instagram yesterday, so shout out, you know who you are if you sent it. And I decided, instead of sending a message back, I want to make a video on it because how I've dealt with my real estate profits has completely changed over the past couple years. So let me tell you first what I used to do and then kind of how it's evolved. So for the very first property I bought, I've told the story before, but I basically drained my entire bank account. I had like $45,000 ish saved, and I spent like $37,000 on the down payment, plus closing costs, plus furniture, all this stuff. I was basically out of money. And luckily, the property cash flowed right away and started spitting me off like $1,500 a month. So for the first couple months, I just basically had a checkings account for that property and a savings account. And I use Baselane, which makes this really easy. But anyways, I have a checking account and a savings account. So in the beginning, what I like to do is I had $5,000 roughly in my checking account. And then anything over that $5,000 amount would go into my savings account. And then once I had enough money in my savings account, plus whatever personal money I had, I would then go buy my next property. Now, what ended up happening more often than I'd probably want to admit is whenever I bought a new property, I essentially drained all my savings for that property. Plus I even tapped into some of the money from the checking account. So let's just say I had $5,000 in checking account and then $10,000 in savings. Well, whenever I bought new properties, I would almost use the entire $15,000 towards that new property. Now, this was risky. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to anybody. I'm comfortable with risk like that, but again, I wouldn't recommend it to really people going forward. I think having healthy reserves is always important. So yeah, have good reserves. So after I basically kept my bank account really tight for a few deals, meaning I literally drained my bank account every deal I would buy, I started to kind of build this portfolio and I was like, okay, now I feel a little bit uncomfortable with how little reserves I have for each property. So then I came up with my new rule, which was I'm going to always have at least $5,000 in my checking account, and I'm going to have $5,000 in my savings account. And I will not go and tap into the savings account until I have at least $5,000 in that account. That was my rule for a while. And then, of course, good deals presented themselves, and I had cash sitting there. So I said, why the heck not? So I broke my rule again, drained my savings account, tapped into some check-ins to buy more and more properties. Now, one thing I do want to mention is my properties earn me roughly, depending on the property, depending on the deal, like a 40 to 50% cash on cash return. So I'm getting this money back fairly fast. And if I, let's just say, put that into stocks or some other asset, it's going to have a way worse return than what I've been getting. So yes, it's risky that I'm just continuing to throw it back in real estate and not leaving myself much money in reserves, but I'm getting really good returns right now, knock on wood. So it's worked out so far. But now I'm at a point where I have 10 units. My property's cash flow super well. I'm really happy with my portfolio. And I've started to have some different thoughts about how I want to actually invest my profits. So given that I have, again, 10 units, a lot of things can go wrong. A lot of things can break. My new rule that I'm keeping, at least for now, is I want $5,000 in my property's checking account. So each property has $5,000 in the checking account and then $10,000 in the savings account. So that way I have basically $15,000 per property allocated. Of course, if I know of any like major repairs upcoming, I could always change that number, but that makes me feel good to start. Now the question becomes, okay, Bailey, that sounds great, but once you have more than $15,000, what do you do with the money? And this is where I started to explore a couple different options. Number one, and probably the most risky and kind of stupid of them all, is crypto. So one of my thoughts was, hey, if I already have all these assets in real estate, obviously I'm gonna keep on buying more. But if I already have a lot of cash allocated towards real estate, why not put a tiny, tiny fraction of my real estate profits towards crypto? So one thing that I was thinking, I have not done anything yet, but just an idea I had is, what if I took basically $100 per month per property and put it in Bitcoin? I'm not talking any like meme coins or anything like that's really speculative and all this crazy stuff. I'm just talking like the big two, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Those are really the only two that I could even name right now. So that was one idea that I had, but that's only because I'm at the place where I'm at with my properties. If you told me that strategy when I had 1, 2, or 3 properties, I'd have been like, not a chance. But now that I have this portfolio, I think $100 per property per month is fairly low, to be honest. My properties cash flow basically more than 1,000, sometimes $2,000 or $3,000 per month per property. So $100 is a small sliver, but it could provide some decent diversification. That's one of my ideas. The second idea, which I think makes sense for a lot of people, is to invest it into stocks. And this would be more conservative stocks. You don't want to just like gamble your profits away, but something conservative that's going to hit an 8% plus return every year. Now, I'll tell you, I'm not doing that with my profits because my fiance, soon to be wife, has more exposure in like the normal stuff like stocks. So I feel like we don't need more exposure in stocks per se, but more of the alternative stuff, more risky or different stuff like real estate, crypto. That's what I am looking at. Two other main things that I'll tell you off the bat right now that I'm looking at, haven't done anything yet, but looking at is number one, there is some very interesting plays with life insurance that I'm looking at. That could be a whole nother video, and I'm not educated on it enough to be able to actually talk about it intelligently. So I'm going to hold off on that for now, but just going to put a side note that as far as taking a tiny portion of profits, I'm talking like $100 per month per property, and putting it into something like life insurance, which is not an investment vehicle, but there are some other benefits that can come with it. That's one thing. And then the last thing that I want to just mention, I hope I made it clear, but maybe not in case I didn't, is my main goal right now and my highest return on my money is, and has always been so far, real estate. So when I'm talking about for these alternative investments, I'm talking like a tiny fraction of the profits. Once I have enough money in saving properties, and now I'm starting to make more money on top of what's saved already, that money will be reinvested back into more properties. So that will always be a constant. What I was talking about in this video was just extra more creative things you could do with a portion of the profits to potentially see outsized returns. So anyways, that's what I'm doing currently with my real estate profits. Right now, I'm using, like I said before, Baseline. I have a checking and a high yield savings account. It's working super well. Once I build up those accounts, I will start diversifying into other non-conventional asset classes. And then of course, first and foremost, buy more real estate. So I hope you guys got value out of this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.